Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Okay, thank you. Speaking order, roll call.
Albrecht.
Here.
Baslow. Here. Day.
Here.
Gurecki. Here. Bodo.
Here.
Mendel.
Here.
Davenport.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Let's do this today and then announce something.
The mission of the Herkimer County Industrial Development Agency is to deliver economic incentives to businesses and industries to diversify and strengthen Herkimer County's tax base and enhance community vitality by supporting job creation, housing, business, and industrial development, and community revitalization. We strive to develop the local economy in an organized, sustainable, and environmentally beneficial manner.
Okay, thank you. All right, some big news with Running Arms. We did close on that. Thank everybody for their involvement in that, and thank the county, thank the village, thank all the legal attorneys and everybody in the planning boards, whoever they were, and for huge stuff. John, you want to say anything?
Just Kurt Ackerman really stepped up and helped us, really pushed everything through. You know, with these type of things, it was new, and to get a better understanding of it, there was a lot of back and forth and changes and things, but it all worked out at the end, and we have new owners of the site, and they're already starting. We had, I think, 4 meetings yesterday already. It's just beginning, so we'll see some great things going on. Yeah, this was hard, but not everything.
Oh, is that context of yesterday's meeting, what the work is?
One is to meet with the village on why they didn't get paid their electric, because they needed to understand that if you buy a piece of property, the electric bill doesn't go with the new owner, it stays with the old owner. One of them was to have a meeting and discussion about the ISO meeting. We'll have this later this week in reference to the power getting to the site. The other one was in reference to DEC and getting moving ahead with the brownfield cleanup program. And the last one was just having an overall view of what happened with the bonding. So those were the things. That probably took me about 2.5 hours.
Back on, welcome to the sale. You were here last week. No. Okay, so she's our new summer intern, so get a chance to hire her. She's from Ball Hawk, yeah. Would you go to school to CBA probably?
No, about college.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about it.
University, I'm a business major with concentration in entrepreneurship and marketing. I'm a senior this year.
Where'd you study last year?
I was in London for a semester.
And I'm gonna say this again, and then when we said it, she lost her accent. That's why we hired her. We wanted her to answer the phone with that cool London accent. Very disappointing.
Kelly, no. Okay,
Cheeky.
well, welcome.
Cheeky.
Okay, let's go to item number 4 of the minutes. The May 20th meeting, the regular board meeting, they were sent to you in your packet. Any questions on deletions, corrections, additions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to accept those minutes. Tim, second. Alana, discussion. All in favor, aye. Any opposed, nay? Carried. The June 18th, the public hearing on the UTEP for the housing UTEP. Those have also been sent. Any corrections, deletions, additions? Again, you want to say something?
Yeah, I couldn't attend that, so Victoria ran that meeting. It was over at the county for another meeting. Victoria, how many people attended that?
No one attended the meeting.
Or any other comments? Need a motion to accept minutes.
Yeah.
System. Tim, second. Corey, thank you. Discussion. All in favor, aye. Any opposed, nay? Carried. Item 5 of the May financial report is the packet 13 through 19 6 pages. The comments. Comments. John, why don't you give us your comments?
Sure. If you look too, we also have the pilot report in here as well. I'll just outline some of the different pilots that we're working on. Also, we no longer have pilots with Sal Longo or Northern Safety. We've been working with a new potential for that building, and also with JBF Stainless. We've taken that away as well. We're hearing some not so good things about the owners of that property and the amount that they owe individuals. I've had several calls on if that property becomes available, they're interested in it. So that's where we are with that. Financially, everything looks good. We don't have any more loans out there, so we're doing really well with that, since we don't have to worry about that. We'll talk more about employees later on, but everything else is on track.
Need a motion to accept or any other comments? I'm trying to. Need a motion to accept the financial reports. Lana, second. Frank, discussion. Frank, discussion. So, Frank made the motion. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Carried. Yeah, item 6, the micro enterprise grant, Ken, Victoria, you want to start with Maltese?
So just so we know right now that until our replacement starts for Jen, Victoria will be getting that. We do have a call. When is that call scheduled? Just
It's either Wednesday or Thursday. We don't have a set time yet.
so we'll be working with HCR again and just let them know where we're at with everything. But from the preliminary readings I did, I think they're going to allow us to increase the amounts, correct, Victoria?
Yes. I hope so.
So-
We modify it.
Yeah, only because we're never going to hit that much. We're just not getting applications. And so maybe if we raise it, we'll see some additional applications. But we still are struggling with some of them not getting in the paperwork, telling us they do it, submit the paperwork, don't sign the paperwork, ask them 10 times to come in and sign it, they don't show up. So I really don't know what else to do. So we're just trying to work through this. It's to help the community. If nothing else.
What do you think the amounts can be increased to, and can we also extend? Can we increase the amounts and extend, or is it maybe
So we can't extend till we get closer to the end,
to the date, which was what?
the end of the year.
It expires in October, so we will do that in August.
Yes. So we're gonna push, and they'll let us, don't get me wrong, and they would agree to that too. So it's just they want to see us get through it, which I don't blame them, but we provide the great paperwork and they're always good to work with, so.
So are they gonna allow the extension and the increase?
Yeah.
in-
Oh, they will.
further
Definitely.
amount?
They don't want to take money back. They don't want to fail the project. They only succeed. They only can do more by success. So, and there's other ones around the state, other IDAs that have bailed on us, and other state and county governments just said, no, we're done with it. That's not good for them.
So will we know how much the grant can increase to, or, excuse me, will we have to wait to talk to them to understand what the grant is to?
Wednesday,
Wednesday.
Wednesday or Thursday, and then we'll release it to everybody too. Well, especially you on the loan committee, and said you'll see something, well, what the heck is this? So no, we'll get that out after. And if anybody wants to get on a call too, we can let you know when. You're more than welcome to meet with them. Excellent people. They really, I think they're the best agency because Scott Lamount, who heads it up, started in the private sector and understands what it takes because now he's, in government. So he sees how to try to get things through. Okay, sorry, Victoria.
Sure, so in front of you is an application for Melfi's Shoes in Mohawk, and they are looking to purchase an embroidery machine to provide a customizable service. So they're expanding some of the options that they are able to offer with some of their equipment.
You know what? I never knew that you could put Carhartt stuff, you could put your own stuff on it too. I wonder if you have to have special permission.
No. It's America. Stop.
Well, you can't just start selling Major League Baseball stuff without permission.
It's
No,
straight,
they must
you
have
embroider your own stuff.
Embroider the business. Like that's.
No, but I'm just wondering if Carhartt would make them do that. Say, hey, you're gonna do this now. Do you need
Hold
a
on.
special permission? I find it interesting.
If you ever been, you haven't been there, he's got a great little shop. There. He's got-
Wait, you have Carhartt stuff, right? Bono Brothers, huh? But you have that stuff. Yeah, there you go.
Anyway, all right, any comments on this application? Any motion to accept the application? Tim, second, for any discussion? In favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay, carried. Any more on the updates?
No, just to reiterate what John said, we do have that conversation later this week and we'll have a better understanding of, how we can modify the program potentially to serve those that have already been awarded and potentially something like that.
All right.
Just a small item, we'll just make sure we read down for tax on the.
Yes. No, do that.
I remember we talked about it before.
You're right. I agree. Okay, Victoria, please do that. That would be great. Thank you. All right, let's go to marketing update. Aaron.
Jen's gone, but she's graduating from Leadership Mohawk Valley this week.
Tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow. So, like, you know, wants to go. This is a picture from last year when Victoria graduated. We're in the process of getting new photos of our business parks and properties. Like we did, we're again, like update. So
But Alana has a friend that does it, so.
this is just a map I made of the BOA for the Village of Ilion. It's the same as the other one I made, but just extended out a little bit.
So what we're doing there, we'll talk about the alien boa in a couple minutes. It's another one on there, but one of the key things that you have to do when you submit is outline a clear defined area, which you might not look at from that, but it is clearly defined by areas, streets, and where a concentration of some properties need to be looked at for brownfield opportunities. But it also kind of looks like a duck with the tail and the head. So
These are the threats for the SWOT analysis. I don't know if you want.
yeah, we'll talk about, I think, that a little bit as well.
All right, thanks. Item number 8, the housing check manifesto there. So, lengthy, with John or?
No, I think we're good with everything. Tony had some changes. I had a couple of little ones, but we sent them out to the board prior to the last time. So what we're looking to do is just make this part of our UTEP. We've had the public hearing, which you heard the great amount of attendance that was there. Oh, sure. So when we do, the UTEP is the Universal Tax Exemption Policy that an ID sets up for different projects. This one is concentrated on housing. We've done one on solar. We do them on basic projects as well. So if this is within the guideline, we don't have to go out and change what it is. We can just offer that to the general when they're building these housing projects or a solar project. A lot of times we modify these though. But when we do a project with a certain type of client, if it's over $100,000, we have to have a public hearing anyways, because we have to allow the communities who will support that project to understand what's going on there. So we could change this, but this allows developers to come in and say, okay, I already get this as a baseline for doing housing development. And it talks about the amount of years that we've worked with them on sales, property tax exemption, sales tax exemption, mortgage recording tax exemption. In Herkimer County, we have a 1% mortgage recording tax. I think that's statewide, but in different counties, they utilize that money for different things. Here, we can waive that. In Oneida County, they use 0.25% of that 1% towards the public bus system. So they can't waive the full 1%. They can only waive 0.75%. We looked at doing something like that with the busing. However, they didn't give us enough that would really justify the entire county getting about 40% of our recording tax. They're only about one line down, wasn't far, just didn't. So this is divided up. It goes to Albany with some secret formula because no one can ever share that with me. I've asked 1,000 times. And right, Jimmy? And so much goes back to the community. So much goes
Thanks, Jen.
The only question I have, and I don't know if it's an underlying understanding, but the AMI and the rental rate for the area, what is that based on? So the AMI, when we, talk about the affordable housing projects and the senior housing projects, workforce, and talk about the area rents, what are they basing? Is that census
Yeah,
or?
it's whatever the average is at that time. So we get those numbers from the census or.
So it's from the census.
Yeah, census or, who's the other one, Tony, that gives us those numbers too? I can't think now, like when we're doing a project and we have to reach out for.
I can't answer that.
That's all right.
No, I'm
Yeah,
completely-
people- yeah.
So when we have a
Number.
distressed project, we have to go out and demonstrate. We look at census numbers, or
Yeah,
other statistics.
There is,
Yeah.
I can't,
So-
I'm sorry, I'll get that to you though. I
It's okay,
just-
in reading this, the only thing that I thought was lacking was that it defines AMI, excuse me, it talks about area median income.
Yeah.
And then rental rates, but it doesn't say what that's based on. So
It's
does that
it's a
make-
standard. We base it off the standard and they would have to as well. I mean, we could put in standard blah, blah, blah. Right?
What do you think, Tony?
No, I'm comfortable, but also I mean, it varies town by town.
And,
In the
yeah,
county.
So
because
that it would be
everyone's-
defined as the census for the.
Census.
municipality.
Yeah, I mean, basically, it's a distinct difference between Frankfurt and Schuyler. If you look at the. Yeah.
So that, I guess that was the only thing that's missing is if we were to put this in front of a developer,
They
know
understand
that?
it, yes, 100%.
and do we know?
Well, we would
We
get the
should.
number, when we get the project. So the project number would base it on that area. In the same way, like how we've done different projects, because we look at what the census are for different levels of people too. It's based on men between 25 and 30 or 40 or whatever. So there's a lot of different things in there that we base our projects.
John,
Shit.
sorry, I can add some context to this as well. The area median income is usually put out by HUD annually. So that's where that figure comes from. If you want, we can add language in there, AMI as calculated by HUD. And I just wanted to note a couple other things. There are some figures that are highlighted and in brackets. So those were figures that are for the board to determine if they're comfortable with. And we didn't receive any comments, at least I didn't get any from Victoria. So if all of that highlighted information and criteria and all that stuff is no comments, then we'll take out that highlighting in those brackets before we send the final version to be uploaded to the website.
We did not receive any comments back. That is correct. We did send it out to everybody. So we thought these were good numbers. That's why we left them and sent them out for everybody's approval. And yes, if you could please put in the calculation by HUD so we can have that.
Part of the percentages, I don't know what it's displaying as or what any of our comparables would be, so I don't.
It'll be based off of what she mentioned, so.
Let's move on to item number 9, our SWOT analysis.
Sorry, did we do a motion and a second to approve the UTEP or are we moving that to the next meeting?
We're gonna do that now. We just didn't have it on the document. Mistake there.
So I need a motion for the UTEP adoption. Tim, second, Alana, discussion. On favor aye, Nico's name, carried. All right, thank you. Let's go to number 9, our SWOT analysis. We are at the last one, the threats, John.
That's gonna be up to you all. We received how many responses to the threats? Two. Do we want to invest in something to move ahead? That's all up to you all. We didn't really receive great response as well on our SWOT analysis. I think part of it's because we are very busy right now and there's not a lot of changes that we could make. Even being down a person, but we're hoping to have something done soon. So that would be a board decision on how this needs to go. That's up to you.
It's a flavor. Do you want to hire a consultant to give us some kind of direction? I personally, I feel we're busy then, we're doing something right. And to spend the extra money right now, I don't know if there's a need for it, that's my personal opinion. But let's say you're.
I think a strategic plan for any board, any organization is beneficial. Whether the board decides that an outside consultant is needed or not, that's kind of after the fact. It's whether we feel a strategic plan is needed, and it's laying out, you know, just either like 12 per month, and as far as, you know, benching employees and projects, what sort of projects are we pursuing? And it's just an overall plan that way we can look where the put.
So if we were to have a workshop, an internal workshop, and do it internally, is that okay with everyone?
Can I just make a
And
comment?
I'm gonna make, well, and I don't know if this is the same comment, but it was hard to get
Same.
information from the board on the SWOT analysis, so we can do it internally, we can set aside separate dates outside of the board meetings to come in and do our own analysis. I'm willing to do that. I mean, it's going to be fun. Barely got, it's like pulling teeth to get, you know, from the board.
Is there any kind of strategic plan right now? Not really.
No, no.
But
There's
we
so
need
much
to-
on the plate right now that, you know, it's.
That's a good reason to have it because. God
The
forbid
good
something
reason was
happens.
to start here, and nothing came in.
Do you want some,
3 people, what?
if you want somebody from the outside, you know, with a group in here knows better than people. on the
No,
outside.
what he said, and what I'm saying, we asked for some input from y'all, we got pretty much nothing.
Well, we had originally talked about a strategic plan, and then you wanted us to pivot to. the
But if you can't do this,
So we followed the direction that you recommend. So we originally, this time last year, talked about.
But I asked for the boards and we asked for the boards involved and it was lackluster. I'm gonna be honest. I mean, so, to get somebody from the outside, tell us what we probably already know. And who bet, like Frank's now, who better than us know what we need or what we want or which direction we want. Why can't we do it in-house? I think we should do it in-house.
Why don't we schedule a session and see what the attendance is like? And then we can go through all the S's, the W's, the O's and the T's and have them presented in front of us and see, and take an hour and a half and see, is it worth going to step two?
And
You know, maybe it's not, or maybe
Fine.
it's indicated, right? Or at least
So if
give
you're
it a
gonna hire
shot
a
and-
consultant, he's gonna ask for, or he was there, gonna
Yeah.
ask for our input, and we barely give our own internal input. Why are we spending money? So let's do it.
We don't know what that person might bring to the table or what efficiencies. We don't know. I'm not saying that that's the preferred avenue. I'm just saying we don't know because we've never gone down there. But it is good to start in and I don't know if every strategic plan starts off with a SWOT analysis, to be honest.
we were looking more for input, really didn't get any. Hardly any input whatsoever. So how do we anticipate having a meeting with somebody, even if we scheduled it 2 months out?
We're asking for it digitally. So
Is that a
asking
problem?
for information digitally versus a workshop is, you know, can be different based on the dynamic.
Here's a plan. You wanna set aside an hour, is it better to do it at night? 4 o'clock versus 8 o'clock, this way, you know, what's the work day for everybody and.
My concern is the extra time. I don't disagree that we need one, but the idea of extra. There's gonna be one meeting, would be that, right?
You start with one, yeah.
I think you start with one and see what the interest is, what the attendance is, what the value of the hour is.
Bless you.
And if it's worth moving on and consider it. But if it's not, then at least we gave it a good shot.
And personally, I'm all in favor of anything that moves us forward. We're taking trainings right now. We continue to do that. We go to academy, we do all these other things. So we're not opposed to any of it, but if there's going to be the input And it makes no sense. Now, could we go meet with, I could call up, we could get somebody here tomorrow. But once again, they don't know what our area is per se. They don't understand a lot of this. It would be input. Well, it would be input from the board that guides the plan. It's not them coming in and guiding. It's the board that has to. We just not seeing it.
Is there anyone
How about-
local within the Bonner County area that may know us and could we
Well,
bring them in and?
It's not that way, Jim. It's not like if they, it's not that they don't know us, it's what we do is a little bit different, but that doesn't matter either. Would it be better if we waited and scheduled it like in September than instead of the summer? Or next week? I mean, you all have to decide that. We'll set up whatever meeting you want. We can send out a doodle poll. You guys can come back with whatever. I think as long as there's input on it. We're not doing anything, it's just.
So, we should do something, it just, which direction we go, because if we're gonna spend $25,000 or $50,000 on some sit on a shelf, it's really not what we are, or who we are.
So Mohawk Valley Edge just got done with one before Steve the Mayo passed. Nothing has happened with that since, and in fact, it really turned different. It was supposed to be a strategic plan and how to move ahead with new management. Never got to that. It was supposed to go out and look to a lot of other sources to figure out what we were gonna do. Never got to that. Just hired someone new or someone on the board to move up, on team to move up. It was I can't tell you the cost. I don't remember. I think it's frankly nothing that's ever happened.
Also, if we do it with, someone has to be there, right? If we do set up a meeting, we also, you know.
We
come
can
in and
invite
be like,
other
okay,
people in, maybe
Yeah.
college.
You know,
Let's find independent parties.
Yeah.
It's not,
We need
We
to
have
action
key
for that.
stakeholders come in and they can facilitate and they.
Or we could have
They
the
got
two
the-
of them.
Yeah.
Rep from the county, rep from the college, all the players. that
We
we
have
need.
them.
Well, I know, I'm just saying, invite them to the table also.
Yeah.
Formal invitation, and,
It's not a bad exercise.
no, I mean,
And
then we can get our local flavor, and then if we decide we need an outside influence, then so be it. That okay with everybody? I mean, then, like Johnson, maybe, we can figure- I know, Summers.
It's up to everybody else. I mean, I'm okay.
I would be available in the
available.
summer, but I'm only one of many people, so if you wanted to. we'll
it doesn't
What
matter
time
what
is
time
it?
of year.
What time is it?
It doesn't matter. Because I carve, we all carve out times for, you know, this day, this
I don't want
time.
you, I don't want to reduce like 2 hours of work today, and then morning get up and all that. It just, maybe at the end of the day, we could.
Mornings.
I prefer mornings. My evenings get busy in summer with activities and youth sports.
Let's say Frank, it's good time.
That's really the,
Uh,
So.
Morning's better than afternoon.
Sorry, same.
Mornings, yes.
Okay, all right.
so with the first,
Okay.
with the first meeting would just be us, or you can invite people in,
Why don't we do this?
first meeting us.
This week, if you think of any potential partners that you may want at this first meeting, send them into to Victoria or John. And then we will invite those.
Or do we want a facilitator, I think, too?
Right. I think that's helpful that we.
And it doesn't have to be Dave Castillo, it could be someone on his team. You know what I mean? Or do we want Tony Hallett to be the facilitator?
At 8 in the morning.
Yeah. We
There's,
have the-
there's Jerry.
Can we think
Keith.
about
There's
that?
a lot of
Yeah.
people that do that. Like,
I like the like it.
okay.
But I mean, on
There-
his team, yeah, we don't have to have Dave, we can have someone else.
Okay.
Do I'm gonna reach out to them and find somebody, is that okay with you?
I think it's helpful to have, independent parties to have the agenda and.
Extract the information from us.
So an agenda, let me get this down. So an agenda, a facilitator, at 8 in the morning, I'm good with that too. Well, Moses, okay. Is there a certain day of the week?
Give us a couple days for email.
Uh,
This time.
Yeah. So do we go with majority or do we go with all? Because that's, okay, majority it is. No questions. Well, because you know what's gonna happen.
Split up
That's right. And
Tuesday. No,
And,
Friday.
you know, and Bobby can make one day, 10, Ronnie can make another.
Majority.
We'll put it the best, but we'll make it more like a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so in case you're away Monday, Fridays. Yeah, we will send that out today.
That being said, like I said, try to get back to the staff, when an email comes out, I give it to the legislature, they're notorious for still on it. You know, try to respond within like a day or two of the meeting, because some stuff is time sensitive and you know, they have to put reports together for us, and then we ask them, and that was go. So we're go. All of us, myself included, so. Okay. Item number 10, the 5S North Frankfurt Business Park, and Memorial Sign update.
Go ahead, Jim.
I did talk to the gentleman who proposed the initial project. Everything on that sign is aluminum. You can trim and everything, so that's the reason the cost is up there. It's like $15,000. That'll last forever. The aluminum, as opposed to plastic or which will go and wood. So we really didn't have that list, and he apologized for not having enough material. So I'm comfortable with that, knowing that it'll last a lot longer than you know, for treated composite wood or whatever. So and that's my report. So if you want to approve it, fine. If not, we can.
That's not understanding structures as well. Is it wood wrapped with aluminum? How does that
No,
work?
he's told me it's 100%.
Through and through. Oh, okay.
So it made me feel a lot more confident. Instead of spending $15,000 on 2x4s, it's a plastic. Well, I asked the question, there's nothing in the, thing with his bid on it, so he did clarify, he said next time if he does that, we'll be more detailed. So, all right, let's play, you want to go ahead and spend that 15?
I would also say if we're spending almost $16,000 on it, it needs to be done. Somehow, solar, I don't know,
It's
something.
lit, that's lit there anyways by something, by the pole right there. And we can't run electric through.
Solar, I don't know, like, we ought to be able to figure
Yeah, I'll have
something
Holly
out.
set up.
But I
something.
think if we're investing as much in such a beautiful sign, there's good reason, I feel like it needs to be.
If
So,
we didn't look at that, we didn't put that in the run up and kind of do it for our,
Well,
we have
good.
across the road.
No, we're into fiber, but we'll put solar. I'll have Holly set
there's
up.
really good solar
Yeah.
lights out there, and I would hate to have such a beautiful sign and spend so much money on it. The
Okay.
solar? No, stop.
Okay.
Well, then it would have been made out of wood and then it wouldn't last, there, so why would we have paid? Yeah.
Okay, so we have, I need a motion to suspend it on the sign. One, it's Tim, Lana. Any more discussion? On favor, aye? Any opposed, nay? Carried. Item 11, the village of William.
Yeah, so, we're applying for and you saw the map that Aaron put up, we're applying for a village of, Million Boa will do the 10% match. They voted last night to move ahead with the application. The 10% will be $20,000. It'll be a combination of things, just like we've done with the village of Million and the village of Dollarville. Standard BOA, we won't spend it unless we win the award. And it ties in nicely with the Dual property, the Remington property, and also like that old Motel 6, that's not a Motel 6 anymore. So it would help clean up a lot of that area.
Comments? The motion. Ken, second. All right, thank you. Discussion. On favor, aye? Any opposed, nay? Carried. Item 12, Scout Business Park, parcel J, it's on page 49. Okay, there's a parcel J, in the Skyler Business Park is adjacent to Aldridge, from Home Depot, what's up there. We have a party interested, we, the buddy, yeah, and they want to talk about the devices, so I think we need to go to executive session, we say that for the end, that's okay? So,
I didn't remember this parcel. Sorry. Is it marketed or?
No, it's got a silo.
it's kind of difficult to market, it's the old, leftover.
Corn,
Okay.
corn,
I
bed.
didn't remember.
Aldridge is interested in this. That's right.
Somebody will do the full corn, page 50.
Okay, we're gonna move item 13 to executive session also. Item 14, the fee schedule on page 51, that's our updated fee schedule.
Hold on one second, Victoria. For the one that, Four Corners, didn't I give you did we have the amounts? That sheet that had all the amounts
We
on it?
do have that in mind.
Okay, I think we need to show them that, but that's gonna wait till executive session. So,
Okay.
okay, thanks.
Fee schedule is presented on page 51. Any comments, John?
Yeah, we changed the, which one was it? Reassignment of benefits and ownership fee to two.
No, the mortgage reassignment,
Mortgage reassignment, right?
yes.
Okay. And we didn't have that before, but now we were asked to do that, so we figured we better have a fee. $2,000 put in there. We did a little study and checked with other IDAs and other people around the state, and 2,000 is the normal fee for that, so.
It's 1,000.
I'm sorry, 1,000.
So it's a flat fee of other ideas. I just wonder, because we pivot from, the project agency fees to percentage and flat fees. I'm just curious if.
Yeah, they're all flat fees for why they're different.
No, I'm just, it's probably easier for a flat fee.
Yes.
as a Percentage. It
You
could
notice
be
an
all-
assignment document
right?
is, tends to be a lot simpler. The transaction documents are obviously not.
Yeah, a percentage they wouldn't fly with because it's a mortgage.
Because it could be all of it.
It could be really high.
Any motion, more comments? Any motion accept the fee schedule? Lori second, Alana. Discussion. All in favor, aye. Any opposed, nay, carried. Item 15, turn management, the agency fee waiver. We did do a poll and no vote, and those in favor of, so we need to ratify it. Question.
Is there a policy regarding this?
About ratifying or
No, about,
waiving a fee.
waiving fee, yeah.
We've done it in the past where we've changed it, like with Tractor Supply and the windmill project. Policy in place, no, it's per application, per project.
I guess it all, we usually do when it's when the project of the magnitude is just off our exponential, when you talk about
I understand.
potential $2 billion project here, we want to invite these people in and we throw all the tools we have.
So we, after looking at other, the potential for this too, was waiving the fees the right thing to do. I think to help bring it over the finish line with all the money that they've invested as well. They've invested clear over $1 million already through different studies and different things that they had to do, plus other things to make sure that that's gonna work as well. So I believe it's a good thing. It's your vote. We received 4 yeses when we ratified it out. To be honest, we only heard back from 4 votes, except 5. We heard from Ann, I think right during the same time. So the 4 votes, we're a democracy. So if you have an issue, I don't think we should put it in as a policy, to be honest with you. I don't know how Tony feels about that or Shannon, but I think it needs to be looked at on a case by case basis.
And I was in favor of this one because I recall being at the meeting at the county when they presented and they were asking for help, and not only help, but they were asking for our partnership. And when they laid out the timeline, right? And they only have a sliver of time when these types of development projects, when they're happening, right? And you gotta act, and then if you don't act right then you're in the next wave of whenever in this case, the center that we're looking at, it may be 5, 8, 10 years down the line, so I was thinking in that direction, and also I had hoped that through partnership over the next 5 years with them, or however many years, that there's gonna be many applications coming through. I'm thinking for, EPA stuff and brownfield stuff and maybe some Empire State Development opportunities, and they're gonna need our partnership. And I would think that, there's gonna be a chance to get that money back, I don't know, 10 times, 20 times. So that's kind of where.
I know we don't want to set a bad precedent, however, as Mr. Bono mentioned, the size of the project opportunity. And this property alone would be such an albatross. We saw in this board way back in the day where nobody was on, just me and Jim. And then we brought Tony in with the Quackenbush property. It was the same way. It was constant fees and constant issues and just deterioration of it all. Is the buildings sound? Some are maybe better than others, or most of them have issues 100%. One of the most amazing things I saw in there last week is, and I'll talk about some of the things we did last week there, but how they cleaned them out. I cannot believe all the things that are gone. It's amazing how empty this structure is. And I think to move it ahead, the end game is, right now we're doing some grant opportunities with Empire State Development, and it's to find out what could be supported at that facility in that space, not necessarily the buildings, but that space. And I think we're on a good path for that. We're gonna offer multiple suggestions, probably 3. But that's in order to find other funding. So the state is funny about data centers. I mean, we had many meetings in Albany and other places about it, but they see the opportunity now, they see what happens. I think tying in with data centers is what Hochul announced yesterday. We're trying to find a new site here in upstate New York and find a partnership. I think we have some excellent sites for it. But I understand that it's different. And Corey brings up a good point. I mean, the amount really doesn't matter, though I don't know it off the top of my head. It's I think it's definitely something different, but I think it's the way to attract and maintain and retain. There will be other pilots. This is only the first one to purchase. This isn't the one to tear down, and this isn't the one to build. And I think we'll be, especially on the build side, I think our agency will be very supportive, but also will help carry us on to the next decades with the amount that we'll receive from that build project.
Right, this is nothing compared to Jeff's plan. We gave them 150 acres free. So we talked about, I understand. I'm just trying to.
Truth be told, that was, I think, before most of our timers, we don't really have that baseline to work from too, but to Corey's point and my point in the email was, yes, there is more to come. And that was my point to say, waiving such a fee is such a visible item, not only for this project, but then other projects. There's other business owners that have come through the IDA that are smaller, but just as important. And so my point was that I think we've shown good faith gesture towards them as it relates to the ISO grant, as it relates to other fees or grants that we've given. And I would expect we would provide them with support in the future. So I think with such a visible item and such as a agency fee, we didn't waive it for manufacturers that have come through here that have been part of the community for 30, 40 years. Other, retailers, so I think it's just, it's only 24 and change, but it's really the precedent, really the point of it all. That's where I come from that. That's all.
I hope everybody reads it.
understand.
I hope everybody reads it and sees it, especially the end of Elmer, to see how eager we want to work with that. I think that shows that we're way ahead of the rest of the curve. We want to show that this site can be grown and that we're 100% wrong. That's the guy.
And I think we've shown that.
Oh, yeah.
And
We don't have to
we'll show
continue.
it in the future as well.
So, and it'd be similar to like the state, this, the state of New York sends lots of money towards different attraction, whether if you're in certain industries. Right, and they'll throw
We
many,
have
many
preference.
hundreds of millions of dollars at certain projects. And then you have, you know, turbo machine down the road, they're hiring 30 people, putting out a 10,000 square foot addition, they're gonna get 0. So, you know, it's, I think to a Jim's point, it's the magnitude of the, you know, you have hope, I mean, there's a degree of risk, but it could be $2 billion, you know, dollars of economic development, so. It's kind of a,
Of which I'm sure.
it's kind of a risk that you take.
Yeah, that, I understood. And we've given, you know, significant support for that in other ways, and I'm sure we will in the future. I just like show it in a different way. So that's just where I come from on that, and that's just,
But one of the things that we had to do ahead of time, Frank, on this too, was to vote that way because they were closing on Friday. And to be honest with you, at 3:45, I still wasn't sure they were closing Friday. I mean, we didn't really see, all the money was transferred, but it had to be released. And the county didn't release it till like 3:45. So, I mean, without knowing that too, you know, if it would have said no, we could have had a different discussion this week, but that was part of the closing, was to do all of that.
What else?
closing things are like that. That's not uncommon for them to fast and furious.
Oh, it wasn't fast and furious. It was terribly slow in 3 months of just
Well, at the end.
loading.
At the end.
They kept
it can
changing the
be
line.
Very fluid.
Greg,
Yeah, just from the county perspective, just like everybody's saying, the agent's saying. Risky, but 17 legislators, 16 in my college, we had extensive discussions. 17 different opinions when it first started, as it followed down to us seeing the vision. We always had a vision, once you heard about it, like, and eventually we saw the vision that overcame the risk. We see it as a, hopefully $1 billion investment down the road. That's why we went along with it. And I think it's a great opportunity for the area.
I don't think anyone disagrees with it being a good opportunity. I just think that there's decisions to be made along the way. Certain people-
So the legislature was full board behind it, and like you said, chairman of Ways and Means, Kurt Ackerman, put the final push on it. Let's see what happens. I'm excited about it.
all right, let's,
On that note, not to interrupt you, but I have another meeting at 9.
That's unacceptable.
Okay. You can give me a call about the executive session.
Oh, 1000%. Thank you very much.
I think.
Everybody have a good day.
We need a motion. No, I need a motion. Dan, Lori, further discussion. And we'll do a roll.
Albrecht,
Yes.
Badlow,
Yes.
Day,
Yes.
Gurecki. No. Bono.
Yes.
Mendel,
Yes.
Davenport.
Let's go to item 16, Feldmeyer.
Oh, no, I'm trying to follow for a second. So they're just transferring, that's why we needed to vote on the fee, because we had to do a resolution in order for them to switch their mortgages to, and other documents over to a new bank, correct, Victoria? Is that what we're doing here with Feldmeyer?
Yes.
Okay. So that's what this is.
Other comments? Need a motion. 10 seconds, thanks, Ben. Ron, I think you was second. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Roll call.
Albrecht.
Yes.
Badlow,
Yes.
Day,
Yes.
Gurecki. Yes. Bono,
Yes.
Mendel,
Yes.
Davenport.
Yes. Well, finally. The regular agenda is, Charleston. Phase 1, let's say.
Yeah, so, phase 2. We did a phase 1. So things are changing a little bit at Charlestown. One of the lead projects we wanted to do there, with, NYSERDA. It's a little cost prohibitive now. We still want to, do battery storage there. It'll just be on a retail scale, probably, 1 5 megawatt, probably 1 2 to 3 megawatts at the site. But we also feel as though the site, and from many conversations with developers, would also be good for warehousing. In order to move ahead and make sure that we're covered with everything, we'd like to, go ahead and do a phase 2 study. One of the issues we have is that our EPA money is almost ran out. We don't have enough to cover that. So we've reached out to National Grid that would give 25% of the cost, and he agreed to do that, which is about 16,000. We have a little bit of our EPA money left that brings us down, so we would like to do this proposal. It would be not to exceed 50,000. However, we've been in touch with Edge, who has a EPA grant, talking with his administrator of that grant, Patrick, that there might be a way that we can get funding from them, and they're very willing to do that for the Charlestown site. So I would like to move ahead with this with the okay, the setting aside the 50K. And then if it comes in from the EPA through the grant with Mohawk Valley Edge, then we wouldn't spend it at all. But I don't think we want to slow down on this. In fact, yesterday when me and Vinny were at the site, we talked to a developer that's very interested in moving package warehouse space on it as soon as we get it. We'll never put housing here. We won't put, you know, childcare. It's got to be warehousing pretty much, but it's an excellent site because of the location.
So it's a total of about 67,300.
Yeah,
But you're gonna back out the 16,000.
we're gonna back out 10 or 25% of that, and then we have, I can't remember the number of EP, at least 10,000 of
At
that.
least 10,
But I just want to do like a 50K or not to exceed. But I'm not done trying to find more money for this, but I don't want to slow down the process.
Warehousing, but there needs to be any sort of, study on the, remember there was a concrete slab that was.
Slabs.
Track?
Oh, they're slabs, but they're thick.
Right?
Well, no.
They may have to, they may not. It all depends on what they want.
Well, some of the studies have been started already on the ground, you know, those features, and they're still in great shape for that. Then also for the battery storage, that won't be an issue back there either. So we think, and plus we have the road, which we're gonna talk about, the Bleecker Street parcel, which we're probably gonna do that to executive session too. But that's the one that I think once we secure all of that, I think we'll have a great opportunity to develop. And until we really started talking to develop, it's kind of strange too, that everybody looks at Charleston, but then once we start showing them like where we were at the phase 1, how the map is, what we're gonna do with phase 2, what they're gonna build there, they start thinking, oh, this is a great opportunity.
The pivoting really doesn't make it a very hard, it's like, what that we do that.
No, but we're things, so I wanted to do that certain project, because that was something I thought would have been good for everybody, but it's just too high of cost to get those lines there. The relays, the lines are gonna end up being like $30 million. That doesn't make sense.
It's retail.
A smaller scale, 5 megawatt, less. So we're putting 2 right now, 5 megawatts across from Regal in Frankfurt. So those have been approved projects. They'll be coming to us for a pilot. We haven't finished that part, but they were already approved through NYSERDA, through the state, through the town of Frankfurt to build those over there. We have that substation and all of that, so they'll draw down the power at night and then use it for.
So, another time.
I can't think of the name.
I want to see. The motion on the phase 2, yes. Sorry. Yeah.
Of our, of the idea.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Any opposed, nay? A little louder. Motion, passes. Bleecker Street parcel, we're going to, the executive session, that concludes the regular agenda. Any price updates?
Yes. Myself and Mr. Bono are meeting with the new college president tomorrow. If anybody else has an interest, please let us know. It's tomorrow at 2, right, Victoria? And we're doing a Zoom meeting, so you don't necessarily have to be here to do that. Northern safety, we talked a little bit about. We've got inquiries about, because we did own that at one point, in paper title, because we did a pilot with them, or still continue, but just ended it all with them. A new company looking to move into that whole site. We'll keep you posted on that. Same way with the ELG property in Frankfurt. It's leased right now with an option to buy from a manufacturer. Kind of, they're down south in New York State, like in the Hudson Valley, but they bought North Hudson with what is it? Yeah. So they bought them and they want to expand, so that's where they're looking to go. You might have been reading a lot of and hearing a lot about Dan Foss and we shouldn't be concerned about the Micron project. Different types of chips, different types of marketplace. Micron makes memory chips for all industries. So it's it runs off of a different base than what you'd see where Dan Foss is making for the electric vehicle and Wolfspeed also for the electric vehicle. Wolfspeed's under Chapter 11 now. They filed Chapter 11. We're going to see some changes there. And then Dan Foss is really downsizing. I can't guarantee that anything will be left in Utica. We're hearing different rumblings on that. However, both of those facilities would be great for other high-tech manufacturing, and I think that's already started to take a look at. Last week, we had our ESD grant for Remington for the site evaluation kickoff meeting. It was very cool, by the way, because we had some real estate people from Buffalo here. We had some people that WMBEs and veterans with own businesses here. We had people that reuse new sites. Nobody that's done 1,100,000 square feet. But where are you going to find that? You know. So, but most of the ones who have done larger projects are like those large steel mills in Pennsylvania, where they're acres upon acres. You know, not as many structures. So that was a really good meeting. And then one day last week too, we took Jeff Januszewski, who's one of the lead at Empire State Development, Christian Materials with the FAST, Leanne West, and Kristen O'Neill from Turin through the Remington site, had a nice walkthrough and had a good chance to talk with Januszewski. He's already approved for them to move into the FAST New York program. That'll help with getting additional power and other infrastructure to the site. We're meeting in 2 weeks with DEC at the site to make sure the brownfield cleanup program, that's going to be isolated as well. Victoria decided to make a hire yesterday of Nicole Barber, not called Fairfield resident. I don't think we've ever had anyone. You live in Middleton. You live in Middleton. And so they're neighbors, so they don't know each other. She comes with a lot of experience, and not in IDAs, but the same way Jen Young had. She worked with Jen in the past. We feel as though she'll be a great asset to the team. She starts in 3 weeks. So we'll try to keep moving at that pace then. Victoria told Jen, even if she doesn't like her job, she can come back, just so y'all know the story. The dual fold, last night the village signed the latest agreement for the dual fold property. It's 150,000. There's waiting to get in the relative cleanup program with the storm taking down building C and then the mayor taking down building B. We think it's out of, all indications show it's out of historic tax credit, so that's going to be a lot. But there's 2 or 3 light manufacturing companies very interested in the site, and we're working with them to help them bring that all together. We've also met with the county on childcare for that site as well. So we'll see what happens there. The chip site, everything is off the site and it's graded out. Now we're just waiting to get all the data in from the DEC to quote in the controller's office to say the site's clean. We never owned it, the county did, but the county's going to turn it over to the town of Frankfurt for a point path. Mannheim Water Project, we're pretty close there to go out to bid. We're about 68 to 70% done with the actual outline of the project. The site's still going to go in our park up in the top right corner. The village is very excited to move ahead with that. This water will help also Deer and Treecott with their processes as well. And then we're talking to another developer that's interested in the site that would probably take 5 to 10 acres, maybe, to do some type of processing there, but we're still working that out. Project, I can't remember the name of it, that's going on Russell Farm. I had some calls yesterday. We've had a lot of different calls with them. We were first told by one of the real estate guys that they picked a different site. Then they came back to us and said, no, we never picked a different site. We still like your site. They're gonna come up and do some water testing, even though they're gonna do reverse osmosis and take everything out of the water to bottle it into those type of water that you're drinking right there. I drink soda. So we're still moving ahead with that, but that looks pretty good as well. Yeah, I think I covered everything, unless anybody else has any additional questions. Yeah. Yeah, so it's quite unique, Restore, and the people from Empire State Development. They want us to do a letter to SHPO saying why the project is this way, and we told them several times that it's because of the storm. You know, we had no control over that, and they want another seeker for the project, and we're like, what seeker, what project? We just need you to clean this up. There's no adverse effects on the cleanup that's already in the ground. Can't quite, or no, they're not gonna clean up what's on the ground, they're just gonna pay for the guys to come out. Because we don't wanna remove what's on the ground, that'll go for ground for the cleanup program. For Joe Gibbons team to collect more money, the more you can clean up. So we're supposed to have another call on that too, but it's like, who's on first, I don't know. Third base, whatever. We're trying to explain to them all, what do you really need from us? It makes no sense. Because there is no project. The demolition happened, they need the money. They did it in Rome, there's no difference here. That's where we're at, but it's about 200 something. So that'll still leave 170, I'm sorry, 1,700,000 in restore money for the project. Plus Joe Gibbons' his team got 3.4 million or 2 million, like that, CFA to develop that site. But we still haven't been told from the EPA that our no program. So that's still, they're still waiting too long. That would be another 20. But we don't. Yeah, I call it the no.
Improvements to the outside sidewalk. Oh, that's the one where you're talking about the walk to the original.
Yeah, basketball, all that stuff. Yeah, but we didn't get no yet on that, so that's still a problem.
How big of a facility is the water, the water bottom plant?
It's about 700,000 square feet. It's a $280 million project. They'll run 3 shifts. There'll be 2 bottling lines. I don't know if I told you this, I'm sorry. They make the cap, the bottle, they fill it, they label it, they put it in a case. One whole process. Unbelievable. And there's plenty of water in the village of Frankfurt. They only have a permit for 2.4 million gallons a day, but they've never tested to see how much more they have, but there's clearly more than the offer. They're well. The village is behind me, that village people there. And then we have the town people there, we've had, the county, there'd be some, road on the county highway, Mr. Wallace said, no, we'll cover that, so. They know what we're here to help them with. What was disappointing was Empire State Development just giving them tax credits. No guarantee of any funding. So we're working on the Fast New York grant for that site. The electric, also the National Grid to get the electric over there. The water is already there, the sewer is already there, our sewer plant can handle it, we've had Elvin there, Montana as well. We have the water guys there as well. The electric is where the upgrade comes. The path for the upgrade comes through the Castro's property, which is the same property that the other guys are buying too. So that easement will be relatively easy. The National Grid said we can work with independent contractors, need to pull it. So, I mean, everything's in place to do that. They'll probably, I think they require about 7.5 megawatts of power.
John, how long do you want to wait on that project? And how would you approach it?
I mean,
If you got a call this afternoon.
from Niagara?
Yeah.
Oh, we're not waiting. In fact, we're gonna do a new mailer on the property itself this week. Of course, you don't wait. No, they haven't signed anything. He told me yesterday, So I'm dealing with their head of their economic development group, because they have 53 of these plants already. They're a multi-billion dollar company. And, he told me yesterday, well, his disappointment in Empire State Development was one thing he told me. But then I said, well, what did you get in Connecticut? And he said, well, I don't remember that, so I know that. I don't think he got it. And, the cash still hold it. He thinks it's a change. What? Why, you heard something?
I heard something.
Oh, talk this guy.
No.
No, the owner of the property. But, no, so everything, you know, we would market that to anybody that comes in. And the same way like Four Corners, we keep getting calls and rumors, right, Tony? And, with that, I met with other developers too, just quickly. They're interested in putting a 200,000 square foot warehouse, we'll put it along the top. We can add a road out onto, Newport Road. I talked to, Bill Weekly, who's the chairman of Highways. And we talked to Mark Nagel, so we shouldn't have an issue with that. No, there's nothing signed or anything. We can talk about putting new roads in. I don't see any, there's nobody said anything about that. I don't think it's a bad thing. And then the other thing would be, we've talked to, several hotel developers in the area. And they're looking at some sites and they're really excited about one site that we showed. So hopefully we'll know soon. And that would be a nice hotel restaurant type thing, like a, not a restaurant, like a Ruth Chris's, you know, more, but better than a, not that Applebee's is bad, I don't think, but something like that. I know you live there, but, so that will be coming soon too.
Okay, thank you. We need to go into executive session to talk about proposed and,
Yeah.
potential. The vice council, any other comments before we go into that? Need a motion to go into executive session. Bob and, discussion, on favor aye, any opposed nay, we are in executive session. Favor aye. Aye. Any opposed nay? We're out of executive section, we are recording. Back in the executive, into regular session, we need to vote on a piece of
A per acre
property,
price.
per acre price.
For the J parcel.
$5,000 per acre. For parcel J in the Skylar Business Park, the original Skylar Business Park. And it's on page 49, so we had discussion, executive session. Proposed $5,000 an acre, need a motion. Tim, Alana, discussion. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay, carried. Need to, anything for the good organization? Need motion to.
Adjourn and then go.
Alana? Thanks. Tim, discussion, good line. We are. Adjourned.